all day long, that's all you hear. Whiz and then an explosion, whiz and then an explosion. How many days of that in a row do you think you could take before you went right out of your mind? 1, 2, 3. Try 87 days. 87 days worth of them tearing up everything in sight here in Charleston. Yankee Army firing their cannons at the city. And because 87 was not quite enough, then they did it for 500 more. 587-day bombardment here in Charleston, the longest American bombardment of any city ever. Tore up everything in sight, and they asked Sherman after the war, why didn't you burn Charleston? He said there just wasn't any point in doing it. There wasn't anything militarily left to burn. Now that's the bad news. Let me give you the good news. Here's the good news. The end of that war, when other American cities were building bigger and faster and higher than ever before, Charleston couldn't do that. We didn't have any money to do that, so we had to save what we did have. So we started preserving our buildings. And now, we got buggies full of Yankee people riding around looking at our pretty buildings all day long. It worked out pretty well. You know how to stop it? You better talk to him. Hey, easy. Pull him back. Pull him back. Pull him all the way back. You better get on the back row. Pull him back. He got a real tough mouth on him. I'll tell you what he's doing. Listen to him. He don't like stop. The reason is because when he stops, he's got to put his shoulder back into that collar and pull against the buggy. Okay. So as long as he's rolling, he's got more momentum. But when he stops, he's got to get down and pull the buggy a little bit harder. All right, you ready to go? Move your hands up on the reins. That's how you do it, just like that. All right, are you ready? Can you see what's coming? Me either. Let's go.
To the right.
Pull in this way. He knows the right. Pop the reins. Pop.
the reins.
There you go. You don't hit this corner right here. Don't you hit that corner. Let me tell y'all how to live well in Charleston. I'm going to break off from the history just a minute. Why don't you come down here to this gelato shop right here on the left-hand side of the street. Can't get your better cone of gelato anywhere in the city. And then because your feet are all hot and tired, why don't you come out here and soak them in this fountain right here and play around in that a little bit? Now, I know some of y'all worried about your pretty toes all manicured up. So go out there and sit on those swings underneath the porches out there and enjoy an evening swing out there. You want me to take over? Yeah. I better take over because we're fixing to go over some bumpy road just in a second, okay? Y'all give this little girl a hand. Did so good doing this buggy right here.
Olivia.
I tell you what, not anybody on this buggy even wish they were 5 years old and get out there and play in that water. Look at that. Looks like they're having a time, don't they? You did wonderful. Have you had a horse before? Hey, you want to buy this one? You can take him home and give him a bath. He can be all yours tonight. Probably let him go for $10 or $15.
Oh, I don't know about that. I think it costs more to ride.
Probably a little bit more.
A little more than that.
Folks, I don't have too much history to talk about right here with these condominiums behind me, but I'll talk about the little palmetto trees out here. Palmetto trees graced the state flag of South Carolina for a long time, and the reason is June 28, 1776, that little palmetto tree was all that was standing between ourselves and the British fleet out there. 9 warships, 300 cannons. Had a little half-finished fortress out there made of palmetto logs and sand. That's all we had here to defend the port of Charleston. The British Navy rolled in, fired for 9.5 hours. In the end, they had to retreat. They kept firing against those palmetto logs, but the cannonballs were either directly absorbed into the logs or simply bounced off. The Americans went right out front of the fortress, scooped up the cannonballs, fired them right back at the British. The British never were able to invade Charleston by sea, had to come overland from Savannah, Georgia 4 years later. Now, folks, we got all this waterfront property here in Charleston. We got exactly one waterfront restaurant. That's it, right there. Fleet Landing. Wonderful seafood. Go out there and sit by the bay, look at the pretty Cooper River while you're having your fish out there. Go out there and get you some shrimp and scallops. I'm going to tell you what, I can't go out there anymore. The reason is the cast of the show, Army Wives, they like to eat out there. 4 or 5 of those women have been chasing me all over town. I can't live under that kind of pressure. I can't do it. Not good. No, forget all that last part, of course, but the first part I was talking about, see, they out there on that waterfront dining out there. You go out there and enjoy yourself some shrimp and scallops, and for heaven's sake, while y'all are here, don't be worried about little things like fat grams and cholesterol and sobriety and stuff like that. Don't let that worry you. You're on vacation right now. Enjoy yourself. Have a good time while you're here, okay?
Thank you.
Now, this building right here is the largest stone building in Charleston, our customs house. Started before the Civil War, finished after the Civil War, and don't tell me Congress can't get things done, because after 19 separate acts, they managed to get that building completed. Originally supposed to cost $300,000, ended up costing $3 million. And that's just after the Civil War, $3 million. So that's a lot of money.
Wow, yeah. Back to that water park tomorrow.
Hi, honey. Love you.
We have turned back toward the market area right now, and there's kind of a little misnomer about the market. People say, oh, it's the slaves market where they sold the slaves. Well, it was called the slaves market, but only in the same sense you call something like a farmer's market. You don't go to the farmer's market and buy a farmer, right? You go there and buy what the farmer's producing. Well, the same thing up here. The Kingsley family gave the land for the market. The market shed was built in 1807. One of the conditions of that gift was that it would never serve as a slave market, and it never did in terms of slaves being sold. But if you want to know where the slaves were sold, I'll tell you that part too. Don't know that Meeting Street that we were on a little while ago? You go down Meeting Street, crossed over a little cobblestone street down there called Chalmers Street, C-H-A-L-M-E-R-S, Chalmers Street. You go down to number 6 Chalmers Street, you find the old Slave Mart Museum. When you go in there, you see a slave auctioneer's balcony and slave interview booth, but to me as a history person, the most important thing you see is not something you see, it's something you hear. In the 1920s, somebody had the foresight to interview folks who had actually been slaves. They put all those words down, and then they had actors put them on recordings. I'll tell you what, you can walk in there and you can hear slavery in the words of the people it actually happened to. Now, we don't have a more moving, more powerful display anywhere here in Charleston. If you don't know anything yet about the transatlantic slave trade or the domestic slave trade, you can't possibly understand how Charleston came to be the way it is today. So I just invite you, I don't have any stock in the company, but I invite you all, take some time while you're here. If you have an opportunity, if not, maybe next time you're here, go down to number 6 Chalmers Street, the old Slave Mart Museum. Be well worth your time, be an eye-opening experience for you, I feel like. I don't have any stock in that company, but I always advertise for them because I believe in what they're doing now. So it's a word of God. Y'all go down there and check that out. Market sheds used to come all the way down, used to go all the way down the Cooper River. We had 2 tornadoes in a single day in 1938 within 15 minutes of each other. The second one devastated the market area down here. Been torn up ever since, never did replace the market shed down that end of it.
Was it all like this all that year?
It was. They used to sell fish down here by the Cooper River. They sold the beef on the far end. Ladies, how y'all doing tonight? People are just foolish about horses. They'll just step right in front of them like I'm driving a little horsey bus or something, like I got a brake and a gas. But it don't quite work that way. I told y'all we had 180 churches, right? Well, one of them not exactly in the church business anymore. This one right here. It used to be the Seamen's Church or the Sailor's Church, and I'm not picking on nobody, but apparently sailors didn't need a church that bad. So you used to have a pulpit like the prow of a ship, had a baptismal like a capstan in there. They don't have the Holy Spirit in there anymore, but they got several other spirits you can check into at the entrance. Lord, y'all got the nicest night for a buggy ride I think I've had in a while. There's a breeze right here. It's just excellent. I don't know if y'all can appreciate the rarity of what you're feeling right here, but it's enjoyable.
I can.
Well, if you've been walking around Charleston kind of perspiring a little bit today, you can probably appreciate it again there. Ma'am? Oh, thank you very much. I'm having a good time. I love Charleston. I love the history here. I got roots to this city. South Carolina born and bred. So. Now, folks, I've been throwing a lot of history at you. I'm going to throw one last little bit, and then I'll be done with that part. Y'all see the bolts on the outside of Henry's up here on the corner? Now, those bolts run all the way through the building on both sides, and those are called earthquake bolts. And the reason they're there is because that big earthquake back in '86 I told you about, that's just brick underneath the stucco right there, and it destabilized the brick. But I'm going to show y'all what they did. They go in there and they kind of over-tighten these bolts. You can tell that because when you go around the wall here, if you look real carefully, you can see the wall kind of bows out just a little bit. Now we have that next big earthquake, and that's going to be one of the first buildings to go right there. And we're supposed to have a big earthquake about every 100 years. And in case you're curious, it's been 127 years.
We're
so
due.
I don't know how long you want to be in Charleston. And y'all see this purple building right here with the bolts on it? That's what we call lick 'em and stick 'em here in Charleston. Those are fake. You can get those at the hardware store and make your building look like it's been there since 1886. Just a way to make it fit in. No, that's actually our ticket offer. But we didn't put the bolts on the bill. Because if we had, we'd have put them up on this other one up here. No, this is our barn that we're rolling up in front of. And y'all see this boy tonight. Now, Ralph's been a real good boy for us. Now, I got to tell you, he's a little tough in the mouth, but he's good. And he's been a country horse, but he's learned lots of city ways like backing up and U-turning. He can even parallel park. We're going to watch him get it done. This is how he earns his tips at the end of every night. All right, Ralph, are you ready? Let's start stepping, baby. Come on across. There you go. Don't bump your head now. Come in here nice and straight.
Wow.
That's a good boy. There you go. There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Not too bad. A little gap in the back, but not harmful.
Oh, that's
Well, y'all give Ralph a hand for pulling us all the way around town tonight.
Thank you, Ralph.
How about another hand for this young lady right here in the front? Did such a good job driving for us.
Olivia. Hey.
We're gonna give her a hat and put her to work right now.
All right.
All right. Y'all take care. Have a great night. If you find yourself in trouble somewhere, maybe you got in trouble with the law, you're intoxicated somewhere tonight, give us a holler. We'll hook up the horse and come run. Y'all take care and have a great night. So nice to meet you, folks. Y'all take care and have a great night. Oh, my mercy. Well, y'all have a good one. Be careful getting off there. Mind that get there on the back.
You are awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Y'all take care.
What was the restaurant? That was really good.
Kaminsky's. She's asking a question about Kaminsky's.